There was a time, not so long ago, when television felt different. It was an event. Families gathered around a single boxy set, its screen glowing with stories that felt larger than life. We didn't binge watch. We waited week after week for the next chapter. It was in this era that certain shows captured lightning in a bottle. One such show was The Outsiders. In 1990, it brought S.E. Hinton's world to our living rooms. It was a show about youth rebellion and the invisible lines that divide us. Despite its short run, the show has stayed with viewers for decades. The magic wasn't just action or drama. It was its ability to evoke nostalgia for the 60s setting and for our own fleeting moments of youth. The story of The Outsiders did not begin on a television soundstage. It began in the mind of a teenager. S.E. Hinton was just 16 when she wrote the novel, channeling the frustrations and social divisions she witnessed in her own Tulsa, Oklahoma high school. The book, published in 1967, was a revelation. It was raw, honest, and spoke directly to a young audience that rarely saw its own reality reflected in literature. Its journey to the screen began in 1983 with Francis Ford Coppola's iconic film adaptation. The movie was a cultural phenomenon, a Brat Pack launching pad. See Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise. The film was a faithful and often poetic retelling of the novel's tragic events, cementing the story of Ponyboy, Johnny and Dally in the popular imagination. But the story wasn't over. 7 years after the film's release, the world of greasers and socks was resurrected for television. Francis Ford Coppola returned as an executive producer, lending the project a sense of continuity and prestige. At its core, the narrative of The Outsiders television series revolved around a simple yet profound conflict: the clash between two rival gangs from opposite sides of the tracks. On one side were the greasers, a tight-knit group of boys from the economically depressed east side of Tulsa. They were defined by their slicked-back hair, denim jackets, and fierce loyalty to one another. Being a greaser wasn't just about being in a gang. It was about having a family when you had nothing else. They were seen by society as delinquents and troublemakers, but within their own circle, they were brothers, bound by a shared struggle for survival. On the other side were the socks, short for the socials. They were the wealthy, popular kids from the West Side, the ones with fancy cars, Letterman jackets, and a future that seemed pre-written and golden. But beneath the polished surface, the socks were often just as lost and restless as their greaser counterparts. The visual contrast between these two worlds constantly reinforced the social chasm that the characters had to navigate every single day. While the conflict between greasers and socks provided the framework, it was the characters who gave The Outsiders its soul. The series brought back the familiar faces from the Curtis family, now trying to piece their lives back together. At the center was Ponyboy Curtis, played by J.R. Ferguson. He was the sensitive, introspective dreamer of the group. Sunsets, poetry, friends. The series deepened his character arc, showing him grappling with writer's block and the lingering trauma of the previous year's events. Daryl "Derry" Curtis, portrayed by Boyd Kessner, was the reluctant father figure. He had sacrificed his own dreams of college and a brighter future to keep the family together after their parents' death. Then there was Soda Pop Curtis, played by Rodney Harvey, the impossibly handsome and charming middle brother. Soda was the glue of the family, the easygoing peacemaker, yet the show also hinted at the hidden sadness behind his carefree exterior. Two-Bit Matthews, the wise-cracking comic relief played by David Arquette, was ever present with a joke and a stolen beer. Steve Randall, Soda Pop's best friend, was portrayed as the more pragmatic, sometimes cynical member, a skilled mechanic who understood the world in terms of engines and loyalty. Perhaps the most significant addition to the television series was Scout, a new female character played by Kim Walker. She was a sock, but one who could see past the labels. Her growing friendship and potential romance with Ponyboy became a central thread of the series. She challenged assumptions and proved that connection was possible, even in a world built on division. The Outsiders television series, much like its source material, was built on a foundation of powerful universal themes. First and foremost was the theme of friendship, or more accurately, brotherhood. For the Greasers, their bond was not a choice. It was a necessity. In a world that offered them little safety or opportunity, they had to rely on each other for everything. They gathered at the Curtis house as a sanctuary. This wasn't just friendship, it was a chosen family forged in adversity. Another central theme was the painful, awkward, often confusing process of growing up. Trapped between childhood and adulthood, forced to face adult problems too soon. Derry's struggle to be guardian, the sacrifice of his youth for responsibility. Ponyboy reconciling sensitivity with a tough exterior. Ponyboy writing in his notebook. It also explored social class and injustice, a divide reflecting systemic favoritism for the rich. Greasers harassed by police, viewed with suspicion by teachers and shopkeepers, denied opportunities because of where they lived and how they dressed. Underpinning everything, staying gold. Johnny's Robert Frost reference, a plea to hold on to innocence, goodness, and the beauty of youth. Every greaser dreamed of a life without judgment, the fight to keep that inner light alive, a reminder to protect our own inner gold. When The Outsiders premiered in 1990, the television landscape for teen-centric programming was beginning to shift. The era was dominated by glossy, high-concept shows, earnest family sitcoms, and primetime soaps filled with beautiful people and neat resolutions. The Outsiders stood in stark contrast. Not glossy, not glamorous, gritty, grounded, muted, dusty, sun-bleached 60s Oklahoma visuals. The characters' problems were about survival, paying the bills, staying out of juvenile court, protecting their family from social services. This realism made the show fundamentally different. It treated poverty and social disenfranchisement seriously, quiet and contemplative, not fast-paced banter. Ponyboy's narrated thoughts, long porch conversations, moments of unspoken emotion, a slower, character-driven pacing, a risk on network TV. It asked the audience to invest in inner lives, not just external drama. For viewers tired of formula, a somber breath of fresh air. Ultimately, literary pedigree and respect for the source. Less interested in being a hit, more in being faithful. Perhaps too dark and slow for Saturday night. Commercial undoing, but also what made it stand out, a teen show that felt like art. Despite its critical potential and a loyal fan base, The Outsiders television series had a tragically short life. It aired for just one season of 13 episodes before being canceled by Fox. The reasons were likely complex. Somber tone, period setting, and a competitive time slot. For those who had tuned in each week, the cancellation felt abrupt and unjust. Yet, like the characters it portrayed, the show's legacy proved resilient. The series is remembered fondly today for its incredible heart. It was made with a palpable love for the original story. You could feel it in the continuation of the characters' journeys and period-perfect details. The show became a cherished secret known only to the most dedicated fans. For many, The Outsiders is linked to memories of youth. It brings back that intense, formative time when friends are your entire world. Every decision felt monumental. Its memory is a warm, nostalgic echo of who we used to be. In the end, the legacy is a testament to S.E. Hinton's original vision. Look past the leather jackets and madras shirts to see the person underneath. It reminded us that sunsets look the same from both sides of the tracks. Whenever we need a reminder to stay gold, the story of the Curtis brothers will be there waiting. Stay gold.